clutch third quarter for the Sacramento Kings, 38 points. Kevin Huerter absolutely coming unglued with 16 points in that quarter. Final push at the end just wasn't enough. Kings winning streak comes to an end at 5 tonight to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Final score, Minnesota Timberwolves 138, Sacramento Kings 134. As you can hear, my dog in the background isn't too happy about it. We're going to break it down all for you right now. I'm Ryan in Sacktown. This is If You Don't Like That. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. The Kings do take the loss to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who go 2 games over 500. The Kings' 5-game winning streak does come to an end despite a furious push at the end, just not enough to get them over the top tonight. But that's okay. The Kings have put themselves in a decent position to be able to absorb a loss like this tonight. I think if we said 5 out of 6 coming out of the All-Star break, we would all take it. All right, let's get you some numbers. The Kings shot 55.1% from the field. The Timberwolves 60% from the field. We talked about it in the pregame, not letting the Timberwolves get going and get hot. The Timberwolves shot, 51.3% from the three-point line. They had 23s tonight. That's just far too many. To the Kings, 14 of 27 for 51.9%. So we can look at those two stats right there. The 3 stick out for the Timberwolves, certainly. Rebounds, personal fouls, so-so. Free throw percentage, pretty much even. The Timberwolves shot 71%. Kings shot 73.3%. Turnovers 25 or assists 25 for the Kings. Not too bad. Total turnovers for the Kings 6. So it was a pretty clean game. Minnesota had 12 altogether. Minnesota was the better team tonight, unfortunately. They came out, they were more physical than the Kings, and the Kings just really couldn't come back from that first half as hard as they tried in the third quarter. Yeah, getting a lot of comments about the defense tonight. The defense was not good, but that's who the Kings are. That's their identity. They did pick it up somewhat in the fourth quarter, but again, it was not enough. 23s. Minnesota hit their 3s tonight. It was a 3-point show for them. Anthony Edwards, outstanding all-star for the Timberwolves. Easily shows you why he was voted into the all-star game. The Kings, I don't know that they look tired tonight. I see your comment there. They're not always great after back-to-backs, but tired wasn't it. I just think they got outplayed because Minnesota was on a back-to-back too. They played in LA last night, so I didn't see a significant difference in the energy from either team. Exactly. They played last night. So some individual numbers tonight for the Kings. Sabonis, a monster as always. He finished the game with 24 points. Keegan Murray, he really, really had an off night tonight. We'll get to that in a second for sure. Kevin Huerter broke out of his slump, right? 16 points in the third quarter, 29 overall. Great to see Kevin get those minutes. Kessler Edwards, how about him? He only scored 3 points, but he was a plus 14 in the plus minus category. He did a great job on Edwards for the time that he was on the floor. So they had too many. Let's see. All right. They had multiple chances. Tying the game. Yes, they did. Shot selection, right? But it was the shots that we typically see at the end of the game, right? You got De'Aaron getting into the paint, shooting the floater. Harrison's three, I thought maybe that was a little bit rushed at the end of the game. But other than that, I wasn't too bothered by the shot selection. Mike Brown, we got a comment here on Mike. Doesn't let his players shoot out of their slumps. Yeah, yes and no. It depends on the player. Which player are you talking about? I'm guessing Keegan, because Keegan was not playing well tonight. And again, we'll get to that here in a second. Fox, let's see. Yeah, they had to get something up quick. That was the problem. So they only had 15 seconds to operate with no timeouts. So yeah, and Keegan, that's who we're talking about. Just for a starter in the NBA, that cannot happen. It just cannot. I mean, we can go over Keegan's line in detail. I'm pretty sure everybody here on the stream knows exactly what it was, but Keegan did not score in this game. 0 points. He was actually in the positive with the plus minus. He only took two shots. In terms of what he did, 2 rebounds defensively, or two. He had 1 offensive, 1 defensive. That's tough to swallow, guys. Guys are going to have their off nights, right? That's a little bit too much of an off night for anybody, a starter, let alone, and don't bring up the rookie stuff. You can't have that. John, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I gotcha. But yeah, it wasn't a blowout. The Kings, despite the Kings not having their best game tonight and really being thoroughly outplayed and giving up 74 points in the first half, they did make it close. They gave it their best shot. They just didn't have enough to get over that hump tonight. And that's the association. I mean, we're getting used to a winning culture here in Sacramento. We're winning more than we're losing right now. And so we want to see them win every game and see the beam lit up at the end of the night. But some nights it's just not going to happen. Anthony Edwards is really, really good. Love his game. Yes, Anthony Edwards is a stud. A perfect complement player to Rudy Gobert and to Mike Conley. That Emily pickup was huge for the Timberwolves. That's why they did that, because Edwards and D'Angelo Russell, 2 similar players, but Edwards is much better than D'Angelo. So bringing Mike Conley in, that makes all the difference in the world. So thank you again so much for joining me here on the post game. The boss has the night off. Again, want to really, really remind you, it is not load management. So I can promise you he will be back soon. Murray's game was puzzling. Yeah, it was puzzling. I'm not sure what to say. I mean, Mike Brown plays the hot hand, right? And that's something that we've commonly seen throughout the season. He's going to keep the guys on the floor that are producing, and the guys that aren't producing, like Monk tonight, Davion Mitchell, they don't get minutes. Herter, he was producing, stays on the floor. Keegan was not producing. I mean, enough so to bring in Kessler Edwards, right? And Kessler Edwards is undersized compared to Keegan. So very, very puzzling. I wouldn't expect to see another game like that from Keegan. And, we can't see another game like that from Keegan. Another quiet night from Monk. Yes, it was. He struggled a little bit. He only played 20 minutes, though. Usually plays a tad bit more than that. That's because Herter was playing a little bit better. A lot better, I should say. But yeah, bad clock management. I like that comment. There was some poor clock management tonight. I do agree with that. There were times that I thought they should have called a timeout, didn't call a timeout, specifically Barnes when he got that offensive rebound. That was a time for a timeout right there. You've already got the ball in the half court. At that point, set up a good play because I believe the Kings were down by 1 or 2 at that point. So horrible defense. Yeah, nothing new. Nothing new. 74 in the first half. Altogether tonight, they end up giving up 138 to the Timberwolves. 138. Just that's 20 points more than both of their previous matchups this season. And in the pregame show, again, I have to go back to this. I touched on, you guys asked about the keys to the game. One was Herter breaking out. He did. The other was Sabonis staying out of foul trouble. He didn't. Sabonis had 5. Don't discount how Sabonis was forced to play down low down the stretch. I mean, you guys saw Gobert try to posterize him because there's nothing he can do. He cannot play aggressive defense with 5 fouls at that point, but you have to have him on the floor. So that hurt the Kings. And then scoring, shooting. The Kings just did not shoot the ball the way they typically do. They did not bring the game to Minnesota. Minnesota brought the game to the Kings. It felt like the Kings were on their heels all night long and just were fighting an uphill battle. No other way to cut it. So again, the Kings take the loss tonight, 138-134. The Kings still solidly in that third spot in the West. The Kings do have the Pelicans coming in on Monday night, so the Kings will get a day off and, rest up, watch the tape, as Luke Walton would say, and, hopefully come out and get back on track. But again, I want to remind everybody, the Kings are now 5-6 since the All-Star break. 5-6. So that's really, really good position. I know it's not much comfort when we see these guys lose, but it's still a very, very positive start to, quote unquote, the second half of the season. All right. Well, let me know where you're watching the post-game show from tonight. I'd love to hear. I know we've had Idaho, lots of different places. So shout out where you're at. Dozier and Kessler Edwards. Well, yes and no. The defense was bad. Okay. But Dozier and Kessler Edwards, I think it was Mike Brown looking for, they're looking to get something going, more or less, with what he had to work with tonight, and matchups, right? You have to look at who is going to match up the best with the other team, and that's why he put them in. Kessler, again, thought he played well. Texas, what's going on? Thank you so much for joining. I see Colorado Springs as well. Appreciate that. Elk Grove, very, very good. Yeah, a very tough one. Absolutely. Very, and the Kings, let's talk about this for a second, because Grant and I kind of went back and forth last night about this. He said the Kings have gotten lucky these first 5 games, now 6th game since the All-Star break, with teams, load management and having stars sit out or injuries, SGA in Oklahoma City. And he thought that was a big reason that the Kings have had this start. And they hadn't seen a team fully healthy. Obviously, the Clippers last Friday in a game that we'll never forget. But he thought they had taken advantage of their opportunities. And I kind of argued back. I said, no, I think the Kings are playing good basketball right now. Well, tonight, Minnesota, pretty much at full health. Karl Anthony Towns still out with that calf strain, but they had everybody else. So that's how Minnesota has been playing for about the last month and a half without Cat. So we saw the Kings take a shot from basically a healthy team, and they lost. So, and it's a little bit puzzling. You guys give me your thoughts on this too. The Kings on their home court, they are just struggling, at home. The Kings historically have been, when we have had good teams, have been great at home. And for whatever reason, this team just they're struggling at home. Not sure what it is. Yes, I said no Cat tonight. Cat was out injured. I said they were without Cat. But yeah, so we'll see how they get ready and get set for the Pelicans come Monday night. Anything really stick out to you guys that you saw in the game besides what we're seeing in the box score? Obviously, Fox did not get the record tonight. What did Fox finish with? Fox finished with 25 points tonight. So he was 5 points short of tying the franchise record for 30 point games consecutively. Tonight would have been his ninth. That comes short. Looking at the bench production, the bench is been down a little bit. They've been down a lot, right? Ever since that explosion in Los Angeles. And as we go into the playoffs, the Kings have to have their solid rotation set up. Absolutely have to have the rotation set up. And I think Mike Brown is looking to finalize that and figure that out right now. And so other guys are getting looks like we saw tonight. And, maybe Kessler Edwards could be good in spots. Could Kessler Edwards, even though they don't play the same position, take a little bit of Davion's minutes if there's a bigger guard that needs to be out there? Bernie, I see about the Kings in the third quarter. Yeah, it was big in the third quarter. Huge turnaround, way to close it out. Was hoping that would continue into the fourth, and it did to a degree. But again, the Kings just they could not get over that hump tonight. Let's see. Hello, North Korea. Are you really from North Korea? All right. Thank you, North Korea. Very nice. That's a new one for the show. Yes, it was certainly, if the bench doesn't play well, it hurts the Kings. Absolutely. And one thing we need to look at too is we need to look at what combinations of the starters and the bench guys mesh well together. And that's something that I don't think that we've really figured out. Obviously, we know Fox and we know Monk play very well together in spurts, but there's certain, certain lineups that Mike will put out there and leave out there because they're playing well. That from guys from the bench that will play late into the game. Kessler Edwards tonight, he played all the way through the end. So I want to see if that kind of gets tweaked and we can play to our strengths based off of the matchups that the Kings have. Yeah, I don't think anybody likes to lose. I hate it too. I absolutely hate it too. But one thing that I can tell you is you will not lose by going to Bennett's Kitchen. It is by far one of my favorite restaurants here in town. Locations in Sacramento, Roseville, a third location soon to come in the Blue Oaks Town Center. Bennett's, they have prime cuts of steak, great seafood, just an amazing menu, huge portions. So bring your appetite. I love the hanger steak. My wife loves the red fish with sauteed spinach. They also have a Sunday brunch, so go out and check them out. Brian Bennett, huge supporter of the Kings and the show. Bennett's, 2 locations, one soon to come in Rockland. So the Kings, again, we are back to square one. When I say square one, no winning streak. So they look to make it 1-0 against the Pelicans coming up Monday. Yes, let's do it. We keep talking about this, right? We're going to do an event, maybe? You guys want to do an event at Bennett's? Everybody keeps putting that in the chat. We can see about doing that. Would you guys show up? Mhm. Let's see. Mike Brown, coach of the year. Grant has a rule. Those are Grant's rules about not talking about postseason awards. But we are in March, and yes, if you are looking at it right now, Mike Brown is the front runner for Coach of the Year per Vegas and the odds makers, and he's done a great job turning it around here in Sacramento, and hopefully that continues into the playoffs. Here's something that I think we should talk about. What's everybody's expectations going into the playoffs? Is this a disappointment if the Kings do not win a first round matchup? Or is it a success if the Kings just make the playoffs? What's everybody's take on that? Because I think it's a fair time to start having that conversation, because the Kings at this point, short of the starters going down, they will make the playoffs comfortably. Let's see what else we got. Some comments about Ja Morant. Yeah, that's one to keep your eye on, definitely. Ja, he is in a little bit of trouble. uh, Super Bowl or nothing. Wrong sport. I like this comment right here. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, it would be good to see him win a few games. I think the Kings have built the foundation. I think the lack of moves at the trade deadline shows that they were not focused on winning a championship this year. Let's be real. This is not a championship team. We've maintained this is not a championship team, but they did see they had enough to accomplish what the goal was for this year. And I think certainly they would be able to probably win a game or two. They could even win a series depending on who they get matched up with. Here's another expectation. Second round. Okay. Second round expectation. Very well could happen. Say they get matched up with the Clippers. They match up great against the Clippers. So that would not be a bad one. Getting all of our playoff predictions in. Yeah, it is not. No. But there would be some fans and networks out there that would make you think this could be a playoff team, but who knows? You guys want a Ryan's rant. So if you want a Ryan's rant, you got to give me a good reason to rant. I could kind of rant on Keegan Murray, but I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. That was a tough showing tonight. We don't want to kick the rookie too much when he's down. I mean, he still has to carry his backpack around and everything. So yeah, give me some rant ideas. I might take that on. Another solid game from Lyles. Yes, Lyles, he is outside of Monk, and I know Monk has struggled. He has been probably the most consistent guy off the bench. And then third behind that, I would probably say Metu. Lately, Metu has been giving the Kings really, I consider them good minutes. Maybe not scoring as much as you would like him to score, but he fits really, really good with what the Kings are doing in terms of their offensive scheme. Very up pace, and he can jump out of the roof. Very athletic. Hi. How you doing, Tim? Thanks for joining the show tonight. Who would you want the Kings to face when it comes to a first round matchup? First round of the NBA playoffs. Well, let me answer it the reverse way. I would not want the Kings to face the Warriors, although it would be a very, very fun series. And when I say the Warriors, that's assuming they're healthy with Steph Curry back. And they're playing well right now without Steph. And I know he's getting ready to come back. So the Warriors is a team I don't want to see them. The two teams that I would feel okay seeing is the Clippers, and I would feel okay seeing the Dallas Mavericks. I think those are the two that I'm kind of looking at, and I know we're a little bit playoff heavy. We still got, I believe, 19 games left in the season to go, but those teams, I think the Kings could match up well with. Dallas likes to play that isolation ball, and the Clippers, it's fun basketball, and the Kings, they've had the Clippers number so far this season, and I think they match up well with them. Fair enough. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I totally get that. Don't care what team it is. We're going to be in the playoffs. That's all that matters. Yeah, I don't think that's happening, Paul. It would be nice though, right? Sad to see Pop go out like that though. So, hello, how you doing? How you doing? Thank you for joining the stream again. Grant is out tonight. We can make up a fake injury for Grant. What would his fake injury be? He's not really injured, by the way. And it's not load management, so we can have a little bit of fun with that. Hopefully, the boss doesn't get too mad at me for that one. Do you think the Lakers are toast? Yes, the Lakers are done. They're done. LeBron, they were questionably done. They were medium well. Let's put it that way. When LeBron went down, so now that LeBron's down and there's no timetable for his return, yeah, I think that they are done indeed. Man, you guys really, really want me to rant on Keegan, huh? Okay, we'll give it a couple more minutes. Give me some more ideas if you would like. So again, Kings lose tonight to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Unfortunately, best Rome bit 0-16. Yes, I have heard of that one. No, that can make me rant. No, that is not the best Rome bit by far. By far, not the best Rome bit. I could name 10 or 15 Rome bits that are way funnier than that one, including one that involves the boss. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. That's why I'm holding back. I'm holding back on ranting on Keegan. He didn't. Here's the thing: he didn't get many minutes because he wasn't producing. He just had an off night. He was getting pushed around on defense and just could not shoot the ball. Softball guy. Yeah, that's softball guy's kind of funny. I mean, he's got the whole group of guys, right? Corvette guy, softball guy. Yeah. Now we're talking betting odds. All right, Kings plus 4,000 to win the Western Conference. What do I think? No. Could be a fun bet. I did hear that somebody actually has 2 tickets that they got at the beginning of the season. I think it was like plus 10,000, I want to say, for the Kings to win the Pacific Division. So that is very much in play. That person will be a very, very rich man or woman if the Kings pull that out and Phoenix does not catch the Kings for the Pacific. Thank you very much. It's not easy sitting in for the boss, but it's certainly fun and a pleasure to be here with all of you. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, yep, yep, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, Paul. Keegan, he's a rookie. That's it. That's it. I mean, 0 points. Tough. That's tough to swallow. You got to find a way to contribute. But yeah, there's yeah, no, yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying. I could go either way on that back part of it, but he is a rookie. It's a lot of basketball for a rookie, but at the end of the day, you got to do a little bit more than 0 points. So he'll be fine though. I don't think anybody on here is too worried about Keegan. Yes, they are. They absolutely are. And that's what makes it. So we talk about the NBA, right? And how it's kind of changed, not exciting to watch. These guys play so well on both ends of the court. And for me, as I've said it, a basketball purist, that is what is very, very fun to watch. Just to see guys old school 90s, Kings fans out there that are over the age of 35. Mitch Richmond, right? He grinded on both ends of the court, and both of those guys do too. So I respect and appreciate that. And in fact, if I think about what the Kings may be missing right now, it might be that type of player, right? And it don't have to be as good on the offensive end as Anthony Edwards, but you got to have that guy. And I'm gonna Doug Christie, right? Who is the Kings' Doug Christie? We don't really have one. I mean, you could say Davion Mitchell, but Davion doesn't have the offensive end, and Doug was a much better offensive player than Davion. But the Kings just need that one, kind of 3-and-D guy that can lock you up and just bring a little bit of that attitude. And I think Sabonis, I want to be fair to the team. Sabonis has set a tone for this team this year, playing through the injury that he did. Certainly, Sabonis has set a standard. Yeah, I see you saying Barnes. Barnes is definitely the veteran leader of this team, 100%. But I'm talking about like an edgy kind of guy, edgy defender, just kind of get in your face. You got to have one of those guys on your team. Yeah, good question. Davion, do I see him becoming a two-way player? Yeah, I do. Davion's a young player still. Just we're talking about Keegan and his struggles tonight, but Davion, he could. Jerry Reynolds said it best. He thinks that Davion could be like a Bobby Jackson type of player. Maybe play for a couple of different teams, get some seasoning on him, and be able to have a long career in the league. A good 10-year career where he contributes on both ends. And I do not disagree with that. I definitely do not disagree with that. So, all right. Again, the Kings lose tonight. Yeah. So, yeah. Sabonis is the vocal leader and Barnes is the experience. Barnes championship pedigree. Absolutely. But when I said I was talking about an edgy guy, I wasn't talking about a leader. I want an edgy guy in your face. Like just that's your job to just be completely annoying. Um, Kessler Edwards, could he be that guy? Yes, his defense was great or is great. It's not easy to come into a new team at basically at the trade deadline and assimilate and not play very many minutes and then get thrown on the court and do what he did tonight defensively. So, and Mike Brown has shown that practice is very, very important to what translates to the games to him in terms of playing time. So he's obviously seen something from Kessler in practice to where he is confident in putting him in the game against an elite offensive player like Anthony Edwards. So a lot of questions still or comments about Barnes kind of being that guy, being a leader. Yeah, I'm not putting down Harrison whatsoever. He is a consummate professional and by far has been, that he's been that steady personality, steady force in that locker room, that steady example in that locker room. So Barnes, he is so important to what this team does. Do you remember Brown with San Antonio? Yes, I do. Yep. Oh, Bowen. Sorry, my computer got a little slow there. Um, yeah, no, Bowen. That's kind of a guy like that, right? Bowen on Peja. Yeah. Bowen would just that was his job. It was to be chippy and get in your face and just annoy the heck out of you. And like I said, every single team needs to have one of those guys. So not a lot of games going on in the NBA tonight. Let's go ahead and check the scoreboard again. The one we care about, the Kings take the loss 138-134. We've got the Cavaliers beating the Pistons 114-90. The Raptors took down the Wizards 116-109. Got the 76ers over the Bucks 133-130. That's a good one to watch. Got the Rockets. Rockets, how about that? Getting a dub against the Spurs, 122-110. And then also we've got the Heat taking down the Hawks, 117-109. So nothing around the league affected the Kings tonight. No, it didn't. Correct. Just talking about the Eastern Conference and bigger games. But yeah, future casting if the Kings were to get to the finals. But just kidding around there. All right. So yeah, the Kings let's talk about the positives that we can pull from this one tonight. Again, Kessler Edwards, his performance, that's a positive. I think Kevin Herter breaking out, huge positive tonight. Kevin Herter, that third quarter, 16 points, very, very big. Sabonis doing what he always does. Awesome. I don't know how he does that. And you know what? Yeah, Todd, you're right. Kevin was sizzling tonight, but we've seen Kevin starting to break out, right? He's had a few good games in a row, and that's exactly what we've wanted. And so hopefully he can continue it and carry that into the next game and the next game after that. So everybody's kind of talking about Fox, a little bit concerned about the hand, the wrist. I'm not too concerned about it. He came back against the Clippers and put up 30 or over 30. So I think he's fine. I think that's fine. They wouldn't take a risk with him at this point. Yeah, the Wolves. Yeah, well, that's the NBA. They get chippy. So there's so many little things. If you watch an NBA game very closely, just the hand pushes, where they put their hand on the hip, little hand placement on the back, grabs, like that's all the time. So if you don't think that guys target in on that kind of stuff, they certainly do. So good point there. So, anyways, all right. This t-shirt that is over my shoulder. We have all of the emails that you've sent in. Thank you so much. We owe you a link to finalize your purchase. And we already have those shirts set aside for you for anybody that's emailed us. We did put it on hold because demand has been so large. We are this close to being able to put those on Grant's website, which is ifyoudon'tlikethat.com. As soon as we put them up, we'll email you that link, and then we'll notify everybody else too that you can go to the website, purchase your shirt right there, and it'll be one clean, quick transaction, and we are good to go. So we can't wait for you to get your shirts. Open to ideas. We've got some new designs, new ideas coming. But yeah, let us know what you think once you get them. We know that we are certainly very excited and loving them. Super comfortable. Very, very comfortable. So we'll let you know when that happens. Grant had to get a business license to sell t-shirts. Really? A business license to sell t-shirts? What the heck? Anyways. Yeah, wear them with pride to Kings games. Grant would love that. That would mean a lot to him. That would mean a lot to him. So, all right, guys. Well, I think we're probably going to wrap this one up. not much to say about it. The Wolves played a good game. They outplayed the Kings. But again, there are some positives we can pull from it. The Kings will be back on the floor Monday night against the Pelicans. We will be back on Monday night with all the coverage for you, starting with the pregame show, and then we'll have halftime and postgame show coverage for you as well. Kings take the loss tonight, 138, 134. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. It's always a lot of fun. It's a pleasure to be in the seat for Grant, and we can't wait to see you on Monday. Have a great rest of the weekend. So long now.